Hello everyone, and here I am again. I got a new animating with constraints tutorial. I was talking with a friend recently, who was another fellow student at Animation Mentor, where this rig and prop are from, and he was asking me about a couple different things, one of them being references with constraints, and also how would you set up a constraint system for a prop in a hand where the hand might have to change spaces or go from IK to FK or anything like that. And the answer is actually really simple, but it's not something that would be as readily apparent to as many people that are just used to just grabbing the hand controls to constrain things to normally. So I've got Jules here and a smoking pipe as he looks all fancy. And just to recap, I've just got the pipe geo parent constrained to this locator right here, and then the locator has just been grouped, and all I've done is rename them all, and that's everything that I've done in this scene so far, and pose out Jules. So just really quick, normally if this was a really simple scene, nothing crazy was going to happen to this hand, and he's just going to be making a few different gestures in IK with this pipe. All I would have to do is just grab this IK control here, grab the group that the prop setup is in, and just parent constrain it, which I've got a hotkey on my keyboard to constrain it. And now Jules is holding the pipe. And if I undo that, that's just a very basic setup, how you can grab any prop really quickly. But to answer my friend's question, how would you approach if I wanted to change, well, this is an IK right now, what if I wanted to switch it to FK? And the answer is constrain it on a joint level to the body. And I know you typically hear you're probably not supposed to touch the joints in a rig, but joints are actually exceptionally helpful for constraining certain props or other characters even to the character that will be controlling the main action or motion. Or driving the motion, sorry. So, to illustrate this point, I'm going to turn on my joints, the visibility, and I've got X-ray joints on just in case you didn't know how I could see the joints through like this. So, as you can see here, Jules' hand controls. It's got a joint in the center, and since I was playing with this before, that is not the joint I want. I want the inside joint. Okay, there we go. So this is the joint for the wrist, right? So, to get the same result as I was getting before, instead of making the IK control the leader, I'm going to make this wrist joint inside of the hand the leader. And then I'm going to grab the prop group again and constrain it. And now, fingers crossed, of course, voila. So now, what's actually driving the animation on the pipe is the joint inside of the wrist instead of the IK control itself. And the benefit of this, let me show you really quick. So once again, let's say I want to change this from IK to FK. Well, go to my little controller here, put it on FK, and voila. Now if you had constrained this just to the IK control, the pipe would still be standing up here because that control would still be up there. The control itself hasn't moved when something switches from IK to FK. It just switches the joint system that the arm is attached to. And I will show you this very shortly. So let me put this at halfway between IK and FK really quick. And then go into the rig here. Let's see, left arm IK group and the FK joint group. And I'm going to show these really quick. Bam. So this bent elbow joint and arm is where the IK is, as you can see with the IK control right there. And this right here is the FK arm. The skin joints are what you'd want to attach any prop to. If you attach it to the IK wrist or palm joint or the FK wrist or palm joint, if you space switch if you switch between IK and FK, it's going to stick with whichever controller or whichever joint system you had it set up with, because because if you set up the joint in FK and then you on an FK wrist joint, and then you want to move it over to IK, since you've parented it to the FK arm, it's not going to recognize the FK arm joints. However, if you constrain it like I did here to the skin joint, the skin joints are always going to go to whichever controller you actually want to use. So if I want FK or IK. And you could do this for anything. You could set up, if you've got something on a character's chest and you want to make it so that it's always stuck to their chest, or it's like a logo on a shirt or something like that, you could constrain it inside of the character's chest. Maybe you want to put shoes on the character and you want it to constrain to their foot. You do the same thing. And then you always want to look for the skin joints to constrain to. Otherwise, it won't actually switch between the IK and FK joint systems. So that is a really quick way and easy setup for if you know that this hand later is going to be doing something crazy where it's got to switch from IK to FK. You set it up to the skin joint, constrain it to that as the master, and then you can go back and forth between IK and FK, and the prop will always stick with the hand. Another cool thing is, let's say your character's got FK, IK snapping. So if I want to switch, if I want to snap between IK and FK, as long as you've got it constrained to that skin joint, if it snaps, it will always follow whichever main control the wrist has, because it's constrained to the skin joint, which is being driven by whichever controller is above it. So I hope that was not as convoluted as it sounded as I was saying it. I hope it's pretty clear. If you've got any other questions, please drop me a comment or shoot me an email. Be more than happy to make a video to try and help you out. So until then, hope everyone has fun animating,